What if everything you thought you knew about the royal succession was suddenly turned upside down? Imagine this. The nation waits for King Charles to stabilize his reign, eyes quietly set on the future king, Prince William. Yet, in a stunning twist that nobody saw coming, Prince Harry, the so-called spare, stood up after a reunion at Clarence House and declared, "I will be king, not William." The words were enough to silence an entire room. And not just the room. By the following morning, whispers had spread through London cafes, exploded across social media feeds, and ignited a firestorm of debates in pubs, offices, and royal watching circles across the globe. But before we continue, please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell for more updates. Could this possibly be true? Could the runaway prince, the man who left Buckingham Palace behind for a Californian life of podcasts and Netflix deals, really stake a claim to the throne of the United Kingdom? And more importantly, what does this mean for King Charles, William, and the monarchy itself? This isn't just another royal squabble. This is a seismic shift, a challenge to centuries of tradition, a bombshell announcement that could rewrite the monarchy's future forever. But before we dive into the chaos, let's rewind. Because to truly understand Harry's bold statement, we need to explore the reunion at Clarence House. The event that sparked it all. The reunion that should have been peaceful. On the surface, Clarence House that day was supposed to represent healing. King Charles had extended the olive branch. Prince William was expected to attend, though reports suggest he kept his distance. The meeting was framed as a father trying to mend ties with his estranged son, a chance to smooth over years of bitterness following Harry and Meghan's exit. But reunions in royal families aren't simple affairs. They're minefields. Every glance, every word, every misplaced joke carries the weight of dynasties. And when Harry arrived at Clarence House, onlookers noted he carried himself with something different, an air not of reconciliation, but of quiet determination. Insiders later described the atmosphere as tense but polite. Charles, frilier in appearance yet still commanding, greeted Harry with restrained warmth. The conversation initially touched on neutral topics: health, the children, public duties. But underneath it all, the elephant in the room was unmistakable. Succession. A clash of futures. Charles, William, and Harry. For decades, the order of succession has been crystal clear. Charles is king. William is next. Then George, Charlotte, and Louis. Harry? He was never expected to rule. He was the spare. A role he himself once described with bitterness in his memoir. And yet, during the reunion, reports claim Harry didn't hold back. In what started as a conversation about duty and responsibility quickly turned into something more incendiary. "Father," Harry reportedly said, voice steady but sharp, "this family has forgotten what true leadership is. William may wear the crown one day, but I am the one who has the vision to lead. I will be king, not William." The silence that followed was deafening. Imagine the scene. King Charles frozen mid-breath, hand resting on his papers. Advisors shifting uncomfortably. A centuries-old tradition suddenly questioned by a son who had once rejected the very institution he now sought to lead. Was it arrogance? Was it desperation? Or was it a calculated move by Harry to reclaim the narrative of his life? Why Harry said it? Ego, pain, or strategy? To understand Harry's shocking proclamation, we need to peel back the layers of his life. This is a man who has lived his entire existence in the shadow of two identities: the beloved son of Diana and the overlooked spare to William. From the moment of Diana's death, Harry became the world's troubled prince, rebellious, unpredictable, but forever intriguing. Leaving the royal family in 2020 was supposed to be liberation. California, freedom, independence. Yet the constant headlines, the endless comparisons to William, and the ongoing battle for legitimacy never truly left him. So when Harry declared his intention to be king, was it ego? Possibly. Was it rooted in unresolved pain and the shadow of Diana? Almost certainly. But it may also have been strategy. Think about it. By making such a dramatic announcement, Harry instantly seizes control of the global conversation. No longer is he just the runaway royal. He becomes a contender, real or imagined, for the crown itself. And in the world of modern monarchy, perception is power. The UK reacts, gasps, memes, and outrage. The reaction across the United Kingdom was nothing short of explosive. Within minutes of the announcement leaking, hashtags like #HarryForKing and #NotMyFutureKing began trending on X, formerly Twitter. Some younger supporters, particularly those disillusioned with the monarchy, found the statement refreshing, even rebellious in a way Diana herself might have admired. Others, however, were furious. Harry's lost his mind. One London cab driver was quoted as saying, "You can't just waltz back in and claim the throne. That's not how it works." Piers Morgan, predictably, wasted no time in slamming Harry on live television, calling the move the most delusional royal fantasy since Napoleon. Meanwhile, late-night comedians turned it into a running gag, with one quipping, "Harry wants to be king? Sure, right after I become the Pope." But beneath the laughter and outrage, one question lingered in the air. What if Harry actually meant it? A royal precedent? History's rebellious princes. Now, before you dismiss Harry's declaration as pure fantasy, remember this. History is full of rebellious princes who altered the course of monarchy. Take Edward VIII, who shocked the nation by abdicating for love, throwing the line of succession into chaos. Or Richard III, who seized the throne from his young nephews, forever altering England's royal lineage. Even Henry VIII, before his infamous 6 wives, was never originally meant to rule. His older brother Arthur was. Fate intervened, and history changed forever. So while Harry's announcement seems outrageous today, history reminds us. Stranger things have happened in the British monarchy, and perhaps that's the point Harry wanted to make. By declaring his ambition so boldly, he positions himself not as an outsider, but as part of a long tradition of royal disruptors. Cliffhanger: what happens next? So here we are. A prince who once fled the monarchy has now declared his intent to lead it. The UK is divided, Clarence House is reeling, and William's camp is reportedly furious. But what happens next? Does Harry truly have a plan to challenge William? Could there be secret support behind the scenes? Or is this just another shocking headline in the saga of a man who refuses to be silenced? One thing is certain. This isn't the end of the story. In fact, it may just be the beginning. Because if Harry really meant those words, "I will be king, not William," then the battle for the crown has only just begun. If the walls of Clarence House could talk, they'd tell tales of royal tempers. And when Harry's words, "I will be king, not William," echoed across the room, it didn't take long for those echoes to reach William's ears. According to insiders, William was incandescent with rage. His jaw tightened, fists clenched, and his voice, usually calm and controlled in public, reportedly broke into sharp, clipped sentences behind closed doors. "This is betrayal," he allegedly spat. "Not just of me, but of the crown itself." Imagine the position William found himself in. For decades, he has been groomed as the future king, the stabilizer of the monarchy after Charles, the safe pair of hands who would guide Britain into the next century. To hear his younger brother suddenly claim the throne wasn't just insulting. It was destabilizing. For William, this wasn't just a sibling squabble. It was a direct challenge to everything he'd been preparing for his entire life. And worse, it came from the one person he once trusted most. Catherine's quiet strength. Behind every royal storm, there's often one voice of calm. In this case, it was Catherine, Princess of Wales. Reports suggest that while William paced furiously, Catherine urged restraint. She told him not to let Harry get under his skin, one palace aide whispered. She reminded him that kingship isn't earned by shouting louder. It's proven through steady action. Catherine, ever composed, reportedly advised William to stay focused on duty. She reminded him that Harry thrives on drama and that the best counterattack isn't rage but silence and dignity. But even Catherine couldn't deny the gravity of the situation. Harry's statement wasn't just another media headline. It was a threat to the narrative the palace has worked so hard to control. the palace spin machine kicks in. Buckingham Palace is many things, but unprepared for scandal? Never. Within hours of Harry's proclamation, the palace spin machine was in overdrive. Officially, the palace declined to comment. "We do not comment on private family matters," the statement read, in the kind of chilly neutrality that's become their signature. But behind the scenes, the strategy was clear. Downplay, discredit, and distract. Downplay? Sources quietly suggested Harry's words were misinterpreted, hinting that perhaps he was joking or speaking out of frustration. Discredit. Anonymous briefings painted Harry as unstable and deeply hurt, subtly nudging the public towards seeing him as unreliable. Distract. Other stories about Charles's health, William's charity work, Catherine's public appearances were pushed forward to drown out Harry's claim. It was classic palace strategy. Smother the fire before it could spread. But this time, the flames seemed harder to control. The media circus. If Buckingham Palace hoped to silence the story, the media had other plans. Front pages screamed with headlines. Harry declares war on William. The crown in crisis. Can Charles hold it together? From spare to king? Harry's shock claim. Television pundits dissected every word, every facial expression from that fateful reunion. Body language experts popped up on morning shows, analyzing Harry's posture, William's clenched jaw, Charles's weary sighs. One commentator summed it up bluntly. This is no longer a family feud. This is an existential crisis for the monarchy. And the public? They were glued to every update. For some, it was soap opera. For others, it was the future of Britain itself. Harry's next move. Silence or strategy? Curiously, after making his proclamation, Harry went quiet. No interviews, no follow-up statements, just silence. This only fueled speculation. Was Harry planning a bigger reveal? A book sequel? A documentary where he lays out his vision for the monarchy? Or was his silence the strategy? A way of letting the palace scramble while he sat back and watched? Some analysts argued this was classic Harry. By dropping a bombshell and retreating, he forced the world to react to him, not the other way around. He became the center of gravity again, no longer sidelined but firmly in the spotlight. And in today's media-driven world, that spotlight is as valuable as any crown. The people's debate. Could Harry actually be king? In pubs from Manchester to Edinburgh, the debate raged. Could Harry really leapfrog William and his children to become king? Legally, the answer is no. The line of succession is enshrined in law, not personal declaration. For Harry to become king, William would have to abdicate or be removed, and so would his children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. But this wasn't about law. This was about perception. By planting the idea, Harry had cracked open a door that most never even considered. Suddenly, people were asking, what if? What if William stepped aside? What if Charles, in a shocking twist, favored Harry? It was unlikely, almost impossible, but the seed had been planted. And once planted, seeds have a way of growing. A battle of narratives. At its core, this wasn't just a battle between two brothers. It was a battle of narratives. William's narrative. The dutiful heir, steady, dependable, the embodiment of tradition. Harry's narrative. The rebel, the disruptor, the son of Diana who refuses to be silenced. Both narratives appeal to different parts of the public. William's to those who value stability. Harry's to those who crave change. And in an era where public opinion shapes everything from politics to entertainment, this clash of narratives could reshape the monarchy itself. Cliffhanger. The shadow of Diana. As the debate raged, one name kept resurfacing. Diana. Both William and Harry carry her legacy like a crown and a curse. For William, Diana is the reason he fights so hard to protect his family from the press. For Harry, Diana is the symbol of rebellion, the proof that the monarchy can destroy its own if it isn't challenged. And whispers began to emerge. Was Harry's proclamation less about himself and more about her? Was he, in some twisted way, trying to fulfill what he believes Diana would have wanted? A monarchy reformed, led by the son who shared her fire? If so, then this battle isn't just between William and Harry. It's between the memory of Diana and the institution that shaped